All right, Kim Baker here, coming to you on this Tuesday evening on Facebook Live, Twitch Live, YouTube Live. And tonight we are still in anger, looking at our. And tonight we're going to be we're going to start out with the anger quiz. Okay. So, but before we get started, just a couple quick announcements. As you log on to Facebook, if you would please hit one of the buttons. The more people respond, the more people Facebook allows to see us. So you'd be doing us a big favor. Okay. Also, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And also, down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see where it says vscministry.com. That is our website. You can go to our website and you can download this study material, Anger, Facing the Fire Within, or any of the other 8 classes that we do here with the Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry or with the VSC Ministry. Okay? All right. Well, let's get into tonight's material. Okay, the anger quiz. Okay, so if you have the material, or if you have a booklet, or if you've downloaded it and maybe printed it off, you can follow along. If not, if you got a pen and paper handy, just jot down these. If you would, jot down these questions and answer them. Try to answer them. Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. All right. Question number 1. What do you think triggers your anger? Okay. So, what gets you really angry? What could cause you to be become very angry very quickly? Okay. So think about that for a minute and try to answer that question as honestly and truthfully as you can. Okay. All right. Next. How do you generally express your anger? Okay. Now, I'm not saying when something has happened and you have just, have kind of just went off the deep end for a few minutes, few seconds, or whatever. Okay. But in generalities, okay, if something, you have a flat tire, driving down the road, have flat tire. And so how would you express anger over that? Because that's probably something that, that we probably don't go off the deep end about, because flat tires do happen. But anyway, so what triggers your anger? And then how do you express your anger? Are you quiet? Do you quit talking? Do you raise your voice? Do you start using inappropriate language? I.e. cussing, things like that. Okay? Next is, think about this. When something happens to make you angry, okay, what do you desire to happen? What would you want to happen in that situation. Okay? So, what do you desire when you are angry? All right, next. Is the way you express your anger, is it working for you? Okay? The way you generally express your anger, would you say that it works for you? All right, next. So, do you get what you desire to happen? Okay. Do you get your way? Uh, do you get your desire? Next is this is you're in an angering situation. Are you able to calm yourself down in this situation? Okay, whatever the situation may be, but are you able to calm yourself? That's just a strictly yes or no answer, basically. Okay, now we're going to expand on that. So, if you can calm yourself down, what do you do? Do you pray? Do you take a walk? Do you go take a shower, take a bath? Do what do you do? How are you able to calm yourself down in an angry situation? Okay. Now, have you ever allowed your anger to escalate, to get out of control? Okay. Have you ever allowed your anger to escalate? Okay. Now, if you have allowed your anger to escalate, what happened? What happened in that situation when your anger escalated? Did you uh, hit something? Did you punch the wall? Did you throw a chair? I don't know, did you slap your mother in law with banana pudding? That's kind of an inside joke there, but what did you do? When you let it escalate, is your anger harming your relationships? Hmm? Would you say that your anger is harming your relationships? What about your wife? Would your wife say that your anger is hurting your relationship? Would your husband say that your anger is hurting your relationship? Okay. If so, how? If you answered yes, that yes, My anger um, is harming my relationships. How is it harming it? Okay. Has your anger ever caused any health problems? Probably a lot of people probably don't think about this one very much. But did you know that anger can cause some health problems? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it can. Okay. If your anger has caused you any health problems, what has it caused? Okay. Could be ulcers from being so upset all the time, high blood pressure. These are just some things that, uh, some health problems that you absolutely can have from out of control anger. Okay. All right, let's move on. Do others point out your anger even if you don't see it? Okay. So, has someone told you that you got an anger problem? Did you believe that person when they told you that? Probably not. Most of us probably don't. But others can see a lot of things that maybe we don't see or don't recognize. Okay. All right, let's move on. If they have, when did they point it out? During an angering situation? And then what did they say? Did they tell you that when you get angry, that they don't feel safe or that they're scared? Maybe they're afraid you're going to hurt yourself. Does your anger ever become physical? In other words, have you physically harmed or hurt someone during an angering situation? Pretty straightforward. Okay. So, if yes, how did it become physical? Then the next part of that question is, how often does it become physical? Okay? And these are all questions that we need to ask ourselves is is so we can try to understand what's going on in our life. Next one. When you get angry, do you feel safe? When you get angry, how safe do you think that maybe your wife would say that she is? How safe would your kids, whether it be the wife or the husband, that gets angry a lot? How safe would they say that they are or they feel? Did anyone in your childhood home have an anger problem? Why is this important to look at? Two reasons. Things are passed down. The way we react to things, the way that we maybe dis, discipline our children, a lot of times is passed down from how we were. Okay, so it does make it. And then if you've had someone that had an anger problem during your childhood, you may copy that. You may do some of the same things. Okay. So if you did have someone, who was it and how were you impacted back then? Okay. All right. Next. As a child, how did you feel when you were on the receiving end of someone's anger? Probably most of us would probably answer not very good. Would you? Do you think anger from your childhood could still be impacting you today? What do you think? Do you think it's true or false? If you think it does, how? How do you think it has affected you or impacted you? Do you have difficulty forgiving those toward whom you have anger? A lot of people have this issue. If you've not dealt with the anger that you have towards someone, then you're probably not going to be able to forgive them either. Okay. So if you have had difficulty, explain, what caused the, who was it? What caused the anger? Why are you having a hard time forgiving? Okay. Next is, do you have someone wise to talk about your anger? Okay. Everybody needs somebody that they can talk to from time to time. Everybody does. Okay. Next is do you ever pray about your anger? If you do, what do you pray? Do you pray that it don't last very long? The angering situation? Or do you pray that God would show you when you're starting to get angry and then you would be able to counter that? So, what is your view of God in the midst of angering situations? What is your view of God in the midst of angering situations? Okay. Probably we don't have a view at that moment about God, because if we did, it would probably help to curb a lot of our angering situations. Okay. So what's then if we're wanting to um, fix or to solve our angering situations, then maybe what we ought to be praying is um, that we would have a view of God during angering situations, because then maybe that might help us to curb our anger. Because what, we wouldn't want to disappoint God, would we? No, we don't. We don't want to disappoint God. Okay. So, how do you think you should respond to God when you feel angry? How should you respond to God when you feel angry? How do you think you should respond to others when you are angry? What can you learn from a recent anger problem that will help you better handle your anger in the future? Huh? So, what can you learn from a recent anger problem that will help you better handle your anger in the future? Okay. All right. Next one is this: is when you honestly analyze your anger, you're taking the first step toward controlling your temper rather than letting your temper control you. Better a patient man than a warrior, a man who controls his temper than one who takes a city. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32. Okay. So, how do you resolve your anger toward God? Okay. Well, let's understand is when a raging fiery inferno engulfs a home, uh, with a tragic loss of life, the pain is, gut wrenching. It's punctuated. A lot of what do we do then by what? Pointing a finger upward, don't we? Blaming God. God, why did you allow this to happen? But harboring anger towards God for our heartaches, it's kind of like blaming the fire chief because our house caught on fire. The fire chief, what? He devoted his whole life to helping and not hurting, and not hurting people. But if we blamed him that our house caught on fire, or blame him because he wasn't able to put the fire completely out, before it destroyed our house, he didn't start the fire. Okay. And this right here is one thing that I've tried to get across when I'm talking about this, about the ministry, about and everything is this: is that no one escapes the hurt and pain of life. Absolutely no one. Okay. There's always going to be catastrophic times. There's going to be bad times. But we have to cling. We have to cling to God. And know that He has a plan for our life. And through all the different circumstances that we go through, He will accomplish His purposes. And even the painful ones. So, resolving anger towards God. First, we got to know God's character. What's God's character? He's just. That's His character. He is the rock. His works are perfect, and all His ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong, upright and just is He. Deuteronomy 32, verse 4. His ways are just. Just and true are your ways, King of the ages. Revelation 15:3. He is love. God is love. 1 John chapter 4, verse 8. He loves. We love because He first loved us. 1 John chapter 4, verse 19. We have to know His purposes. What's His purpose? He brings good out of evil. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. He turns our sorrow into joy. You turn my wailing into dancing. You remove my sackcloth. You clothe me with joy. Psalms chapter 30, verse 11. He uses your suffering to produce perseverance, character, and hope. We also rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not disappoint us because God has poured out His love into our hearts. Romans chapter 5, verse 3 and 5. 3 through 5. He uses your troubles to teach us compassion. The Father of compassion and the God of all comfort comforts us in all troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. Know God's plan. He will grant eternal life to you and all who entrust their lives to Christ. My Father's will is that everyone who looks to the Son and believes in Him shall have eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. John chapter 6, verse 40. He will bless you if you persevere under trial. Blessed is the man who persevered under trial. James chapter 1, verse 12. He will bring His righteous judgment to those who are evil. The Lord knows how to rescue godly men from trials and to hold the unrighteous for the day of judgment. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. He will one day make everything new for His believers. The dwelling of God is with men, and He will live with them. They will be His people, and God Himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Revelation chapter 21, verses 3 and 4. Okay, all right, we're going to be stopping right there tonight. We'll pick up right here. What are the 8 R's to resolve your past anger? Okay, so we'll be back next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll be starting right here. So you have a great rest of your week, and God bless.